And now we will hear from Sunni Patterson.
Yeah. Hello. We were talking earlier, and I said, well, wow, I don't know what I'm going to say. But Sarah said, well, you know, you'll go last, so you'll have something by the time. So here's to that something, which I'm saying, but everyone wrote, really, from Owsley and Owsley's mother to each person that has said something. Every heart, every voice, every cry, every smile, what a time. For every son walking in the footsteps of his mother, for every mother still walking the path laid down before her so every child can walk good and stand tall, for the transformative power of love, for the growing curiosity of faith, for sacred change, for the suffering that keeps us inspired, for the worthy work of shifting suffering into joy, into celebration, into divine hope, into you, a spiritually healthy, a mentally healthy, an economically healthy you, a full you, a whole you, a faith-filled, faith-fueled you. There is always music that comes out of silence, still yet moving, thoughtful and stirring, meaningful, moving us to make more meaning, more, as in 74 million more, meaning, what do you make of white innocence when guilty boys are wrapped in it? I'm reminded, being from New Orleans, people come from all over the world to visit the cemeteries. No matter how nice the tomb, how beautiful the marble, the granite, the stone, what's inside is still rotting and decaying flesh. How ironic. Is this what we have become? While our children look on, making even more meaning of what we allow and what we don't. Meaning, a child shall lead them until the all-knowing adult comes along, putting a child in their place, piecing promises, praying they forget, but they don't. And they remind us at every turn to come back to ourselves, to dive deep into the ancestral waters of spirit and air and space and water and nails and moss and everything in between. Salvation is a black woman sharing the gospel, the good news of the Lord, transforming the world through creativity and infinite faith, even in the face of death, destruction, and doom. But beware, because when black women die, thousands more rise. So, thank you. I brought my phone up here, then I get kind of foolish because I forget to turn it off, so it's beeps, zzz, all these things, right? So I had to think about this because when our brother called and said the ghosts and growing edges, this kind of thing. So I said, well, wow, what is it about this edge? So I had to look at this edge from several definitions, right? So we see that an edge, I'm just going to say this so we can all, if I can open the phone. So we can all see this. So edge, the outside limit of an object, area, or surface, a place apart farthest away from the center of something, an area next to a steep drop. The sharpened side of the blade of a cutting implement or weapon. The line along which two surfaces of a solid meet. A quality or factor that gives superiority over close rivals or competitors, right? All of these things, edge. So then I have to also look at this from, okay, also, edge and edges, specifically for Black people. It's right, this part. So that means a whole lot in and of itself, right? Because there's also this part, the expression is, ooh, snatch my edges. So that could mean a whole lot of things. I'm taken aback. I'm surprised. Snatch my edges, this kind of thing. There's also what happens when hair is, our hair is braided. It might be braided too tight, but we might be walking over here, right? It's all of these things that come about. So the growing edge, this is something because this could mean a whole lot. Is it the growing of another limit? Is the limit growing? And even that could mean something in and of itself, right? Because there is something where a limit can be infinitely long. There is something where this sharpening of a thing grows even more, that we're able to use, right, this growing to truly like cut around things, to cut the frill, to get to the meat of something, right? All of these things, ghosts and growing edges. I found this to be so fascinating. I said, wow, this is something. I put this down and put it back up again. I put it down and put it up again. I was like, ghosts and growing edges. I kept going back to this. Because, again, being from a place like New Orleans, we talk a lot about ghosts. And then the part to that is what some people perceive as ghosts, we don't. So we would say, even in this place, right, for every space that is not filled, and our sister gave us more about space, and I want to say that was 3. Was it 3? Number 3 you gave us. But this aspect of how much space really do we take up when we're talking about the ghosts that walk with us? And I'm saying the ghosts that walk with us because it's quite often we use this term, this ghost term, and this ancestor word, and we kind of make them one. So just for the sake of time and what we're doing, I will say that, okay, let's consider them one right now. All of that to say, how many ghosts are walking with you? In all of these empty seats that we think are empty, what ghosts are sitting there? We could take this from another place, right? Like, the ghost of the past, the ghost of this. We can come with all of these things. But just to stay high, let's really think about how we carry our ancestors with us. Not Switchblade Sally and all of them, because sometimes we don't need Switchblade Sally to come with us, but sometimes we do, huh? But really, so this really is a reminder. Really, this whole thing is a reminder that we must honor ancestors. So when I'm saying honor ancestors, I'm saying honor them past, present, and future. Past being the ones who have transitioned, right? Future being the little ones that we may see walking around, the ones who have yet to be born. But then the present, how we honor each person that we see. How we look around and look in the eyes of every person that we come in contact with. And thanks be to God, these masks have allowed us to be able to look into people's eyes a bit more. Because it's so often we've moved around and we never look at people. We get to the grocery store, we put our money on the counter, and we kind of go about our business. But now, we got to kind of look at for even when we can't hear. Do you ever do that? Pull your mask down when you can't hear? I don't know why we do it, but we do it. Because we do need to see what you're saying. Sometimes that happens. Huh? So I'm bringing all this and just creating just some light around this for a couple reasons. One, because I didn't have planned what I was going to say. Huh? Two, it's important for us to get very familiar with all of who we are. All of what we consider to be ghosts, all of these things that we have become so afraid of, the people that we have become afraid of, whose names we do not know, and even the ones whose names we do. This is for us to become familiar so that wherever we are, we can see. Period. We can see. Because it's quite often we're looking at these children that our brother brought up to us, and we don't see them. We have stories of what our sister has brought to us, and we're not seeing these things. But we're not seeing it because we've been under the tutelage of destroyers for such a very long time. We've compartmentalized so much of ourselves for such a very long time. So it's hard for me to see myself in every person here. And it's hard for me to see myself in every person that's not. So really with this festival for me, and I've come at a time when I've gone through hurricane, through death, and every other thing. But what I know for certain is that this is such an important place. And when I'm saying place, I'm not just saying like this physical place, but I'm saying a place here, a place here, a place here, where we have to engage with all of ourselves and all of who we are. And the reality is that we're so connected one to another, and it appears as if we are not. But we have to get to a point where, yet again, we are truly able to see. So really, again, this festival is also a call that our hindsight doesn't have to be 2020, but our foresight can also be 2020. That we can truly get to a place where we are seeing ourselves as other, and we are seeing other as self. Now, some people will say, oh, here she goes. This is such an optimist. I don't know. But I know for certain that this is something that is truly possible. I know this for certain because I've grown up in a place that, so I grew up Catholic in New Orleans, right? So a New Orleans kind of Catholic is a certain kind of Catholic. New Orleans kind of Catholic folks is, you know, it's a thing. It's gospel choirs, it's Jesus got dreadlocks, and it's all kind of things growing up. You grow up putting salt around the corners of your house. You grow up putting salt at the door sill. This is to repel negative and evil spirits. This was taught to us in church. We grew up with learning about 1811 slave revolts in church, all of these kind of things, the things that we would say, oh, this is the ghost of the past. But we're here to say that every ghost of the past is always present. So this is for us to look at this thing, right, as something that is an ongoing, ever-moving, ever-evolving thing that requires recognition, it requires awareness, it requires consciousness, it requires hope, it requires faith, and it requires you. It requires your heart. It requires your prayers. It requires your love. It requires your spirit. It truly requires all of you. So I know when it comes down to this world and how it is that we're moving and what it is that we're saying and how we're breathing, just everything about it, it requires all of you. So I guess for me, the main message that has come up throughout this whole thing is really just that, to bring all of who you are, all of your stuff, all of your ghosts, all of it with you, because it's already with you. It's already with you. So really this is about, being aware of all of your ghosts, taming them when you need to, and loving them, and listening, fussing when we need to as well, because we definitely need to do that sometimes. So this is, seeing that there are a couple things that's coming up. One is this thing of worth. Seeing that you are worthy of knowing every part. And I'm saying that because how often have we woken up to say, thank you, great-great-grandmother, for whatever the thing is. Thank you, liver. You've really been doing your thing today. Thank you, respiratory system. In a time of COVID and pandemic, you have truly been acting out. Perfect, I love you. We're not doing these things. So, this is really a call for us to get into ourselves so that we can get out of ourselves the optimal good that each one is connected to. And I think we can do that. We've had 25 years of seeing how to do it, right? So we can take these 25 years and churn this into 25,000 more. I think. Do you think? That was such a lame, I think. I think so. Do you think so? Yeah. I don't want to all the way go.
No.
I've gone completely.
No. So
this is
look.
what happens when you don't have your stuff together. But I'm glad this is organic.
It is. And we I didn't even look over here. I just got so engrossed in the poetry and the language and the vibe and the energy and everything that you were bringing up.